Hello there. What is going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking to you how to do some super evil shenanigans with the Superstar Destroyer. This is a build that I have been kind of working on that I think ought to be fun, and it has the potential to basically secure game victory on turn one before your opponent has a chance to do anything. Although I think after you guys watch this video, this probably won't be so likely to happen, but I figured I'd walk you through one possible setup and configuration of this type of video. So this is going to be kind of like a build video, but instead I'm going to kind of also show some diagrams on setup on how things kind of line up, so how you can deploy and actually play it as well. So it's kind of fun. So let me talk a little bit about the build itself, but also let me remind you guys there's a $100 Amazon gift card giveaway going on right now. All you have to do is be a subscriber to enter to win that, and leave a comment on this or one of my other videos. Let me know what your favorite ship in Star Wars is. For me, right now I'm feeling like it's the Superstar Destroyer lately, but I'm also a big fan of the Architans. But yeah, definitely let me know. And this contest is running until the first week of November, so I'll be announcing the winner there. I also had a scavenger hunt going. I announced the winner to that. Basically that one's already been completed, so the scavenger hunt is over. I'm gonna figure out another scavenger hunt coming up pretty soon, so that'll be fun. All right, so yeah, you can check my live stream yesterday for that one if you are interested, because I talked a little bit about the scavenger hunt. That one was a fun one. All right, so here is the build. Now, it's not a full build, although it could be a full build here, because this is only 371 points. Now, this is if you absolutely positively want to be first player. I see, this as being, a viable option right here. And this just looks fun. So it's using the Star Dreadnought command prototype, and the idea was that I was going to run this as a carrier. Specifically with rapid launch bays as the main option. And with 5 Squadron, it seems very likely that I should be able to get a Squadron command off. And I'm looking to potentially, take advantage of the large size of this ship and use rapid launch bays in a way that it hadn't been used before, and that be able to basically push squadrons so much farther than they've ever been pushed before on turn one. So the idea was, like, you're this big, and normally your squadrons can only go out so far, but I can drop them so much farther, and then maybe I can do that after I move. So all of that being said, the commander is Jerjerrod. This is going to allow the Superstar Destroyer to turn all they want, basically. Never have to do a nav command. Unless you want to, and this way we can queue up squadron commands. Will be golden, at least for a little bit. We might not need squadron commands the whole game. A lot of things kind of depend on how everything is set up. But we've got the flight commander, which is going to allow us to do our squadron command after we move, and we're making use of the 3 officers here to do a lot of crazy things. So flight commander is going to be important. After I move, I can do my squadron command, which is going to be important because we're going to be turning like crazy with Jerjerrod, and since we turn from that rear guide, it swings our front around in amazing ways, so we can really have a lot of flexibility on where we drop our squadrons with rapid launch bait. We've got Admiral Ozzel on there, who's also huge, especially with Jerjerrod. I love it for a Superstar Destroyer, especially even a Superstar Destroyer that doesn't get a whole lot of turning the capability, that doesn't get a whole lot of deployment advantage. It kind of lets me say, hey, this is my one ship. I'm just going to put it right here in the middle of the board, and I can go anywhere. So it doesn't matter where you try to outflank me or outmaneuver me from. I'm just going to move in your face and kill you right away. That's what I love about Ozzel and Jerjerrod. And then I've got Titus on there. Now, Titus is not an officer that you see get used an awful lot. I suspect now, with Vader officer being a possibility, you might see a little bit more of Titus, because he lets you change a ship's speed by 1. Now, that combos a little bit well into the quad battery turrets that I'm going to be using, because for most of these ships I'm going to have a turn 1 shot. And that's something you can really generally only reliably do with a Superstar Destroyer, because you can get really far forward, and it's very easy to have a turn 1 shot. So quad battery turrets is going to give me a blue die, even at long range, and I've got leading shots, so I can use that blue die to reroll, so I can have a pretty good shot turn 1. Kind of tempted to put heavy ion emplacements on there, but without lack of other rerolls for that blue, I have a pretty low chance of actually scoring a blue crit at long range turn 1. So didn't really want to put all my eggs in that basket. And I'm using the Eclipse title, so this way, because I'll be swinging myself around so much, I can put myself in front of other people and punish them for bumping into me. And my hope is that I can put myself in such a way that you have no choice but to bump into me. Eclipse is, and it's cheap. Eclipse is pretty cheap. So obviously gunnery team and then rapid launch bay. Now with the squadron value 5, this allows me to put 5 squadrons. So I'm running 2 of the Mandalorian Gauntlet fighters, and I'm running Major Rhymer and Dengar and Colonel Jendon. So this is kind of how all of this is supposed to work. People are generally going to want to go faster than me because of quad battery turrets, right? People are going to want to outflank the Superstar Destroyer anyway. But quad battery turrets might say, hey, I don't think I really want to flank him because he's going to get an extra blue die every single shot. So maybe I should match his speed. So if your opponent deploys at speed 1, this is where you have them, because that's when you use Titus. Most things that reduce speed are restricted to a minimum of 1, but Titus is not. Titus just says you can change a ship's speed. So now after a ship deploys, you can use Titus to change an enemy ship's speed from 1 down to 0, especially if they try to do that with a big ship like a Star Destroyer or their flagship or something like that. Really allows things to work. Alternatively, Titus is flexible enough here that you can increase a ship's speed if you want them to go really, really too fast. You have a lot of you have some flexibility there. So, but the scenario I'm going to talk about, because there's a couple of ways that this can work, and I really, really like it. But the idea is that made me want to use the Gauntlet Fighter is that if I can go first and I can get my opponent to deploy like their flagship or one of their important ships to be at speed 1, now I can get them, and I'm going to show you how. So ideally, we're going to be starting out kind of like this. I tried to get like the full deployment area, but this is with the an opponent's assault frigate. I just used an assault frigate since it was rebels might use that as a flagship. It doesn't really matter which ship we used here, but in the case I put an assault frigate down there. I put them far forward, all the way forward, and they don't have to be all the way forward because I have mitigations for that. But I wanted to give you a lot of times people will deploy pretty far forward. Up to distance 3. I have the Star Destroyer back to the wall. I deployed it straight. So I wanted to show you what would happen, if I was trying to get all the way up in your face right away, because you're not going to be able to deploy it straight right away. So the first thing is you're going to take that speed 1 move, and if you just go straight at them, and that's going to be Ozzel at the beginning. And then if you deploy at speed 2 with the Super Star Destroyer, and that's going to be a thing that really gets people. They're like, wait, speed 2. So I'd have to go really fast. This is going to maybe convince some people to slow down and let you come to them. Because now they can slow down, deny you your blue die, and say, oh, well, I'm going to let him come to me. Right? And that's going to be their downfall, if that happens. So basically what we've got here is an example of if I were to launch my Super Star Destroyer, at speed 2, with the free Ozzel move. This is about how far I could get. I'd be a little too far away to be able to drop my squadrons on turn 1 after I move with rapid launch bay, and then also have them shoot. And the idea here is that the Mandalorian Gauntlet fighters, if I can get that assault frigate in this case to deploy at speed 1, I use Titus, drop him down to speed 0, cannot spend defense tokens, right? And then if I can get the Gauntlet fighters to then deploy, give him a nav raid token, he then is stuck at speed 0. Now there's ways around this, obviously. If somebody is able to get him if somebody's able to get him a nav token through CommsNet or something else, sure, there's going to be mitigations for that, but there's always that chance that they don't have that planned, and it could be crazy. Like maybe 1 in 10 games this will actually work out, right? So since that's too far away, there's other ways that we can close that gap, that we can get even further on turn 1, and this is good for a number of different reasons. So first off, you can't just aim straight at somebody. Your back edge has to be touching. So if you deploy at an angle to where your back corner up here is touching, like about right here, right, touching the back edge, and you're still mostly facing at your opponent's ship. And of course, this works better if they have deployed first, and this also works a lot better if the opponent has no squadrons. But yes, so first thing you're gonna do is you're going to do on a turn one move with Ozzel using Jared's Rod to take 2 clicks in the opposite direction. So in this case, I'm turned like left, and so I'm going to turn, I'm angled left, so I'm going to turn right. And what this is doing is this is using the width of your ship's base to kind of add to your movement. So that'll kind of have me turning up a little bit, and then when I activate, now I am still in long range. It's very easy to get that long range shot. So if they deployed a little bit too fast, then I get a blue die at long range, no problem. If they deployed at speed 1, now I bump them down to speed 2, or I'm sorry, to speed 0. So now I got this long range shot. They're not going to be able to spend any defense tokens. So that evade, not happening. Brace, not happening. Redirect, not happening. Right. So I take my shots. I got gunnery teams. I can shoot all their other ships too, perhaps. Right. But now I take my move, and I'm going to do my squadron command, which I revealed. I'm going to do that after I move. Right. And now I'm going to do a speed 2 move with getting that 1 click on the side. And now I'm turning back to the original way I was. So basically, I'm zigging. I'm putting it on one side here, and then on the other side here. So basically, I'm applying the width of my base and adding that to my movement. So where does this put me? This puts me very, very close. This puts me in close range of the other ship. Now, obviously, you might not want to do this against black dice heavy ships, possibly, right? But maybe you do. Maybe you take the chance. The Superstar Destroyer is tough enough to handle it, right? It's tough enough. So this puts me in a very, very, very close range to my opponent. And now I can trigger Rapid Launch Bay and drop 5 squadrons directly in the face of my opponent's fleet, especially my opponent's flagship. Right, and even if they deployed farther back, well, that's what Major Rhymer's for. Major Rhymer's in there to extend the range for my ships. And I've got Dengar in there. He's there in case you had a bunch of squadrons in the way. He's gonna, just be there to like, oh no, you guys can't stop me from shooting. I am gonna ignore you and shoot anyway. He's there to make sure that those gauntlet fighters get to shoot your ship and stop it from navving. And I've got 2 gauntlet fighters. So in case I happen to whiff on one of them. Oh, and by the way, I've got Jendon to let a gauntlet fighter shoot again. Or if the gauntlet fighters have gotten it already, then maybe Major Rhymer goes ahead and shoots again with Bomber. We have a lot of different things that we can do with this, but it kind of covers all of its bases, and it could be really fun. Now, you're gonna face squadron builds. Okay, that's what Dengar is for. You're gonna face a lot of builds where you don't get to deploy first. So maybe, your opponent sees you have to deploy first. You put this and your opponent puts everything far away from you. No problem. With the speed 2 and Gergerod being able to turn around, you're going to be able to go right in your opponent's faces. They probably will be able to do a nav beforehand, but that's okay. You can still mess with them and do a whole lot of fun stuff. You could easily swap out gauntlet fighters with bombers and do a lot of crazy stuff that way. But that's one of the things that Jendon is for too. In case you do eventually fly out of range of everybody else, well then you're fine. And you don't need. And if this does work and you do get to manage, you manage to get this type of shot, you might not really need to do a squadron command next turn. Because next turn maybe you can nav and slow down. So you won't always need to do that squadron command because, hey, your gauntlet fighters have rogue, right? Jendon can let them fire again. He can let whoever fire again. So Rhymer's going to extend the range of everybody. At this point, they're already in the face of the enemy fleet. They don't need to be activated again. Maybe on turn 3 you activate them again. But I think this is just a fun build, a fun way, a new way to take advantage of the dramatic size of the Superstar Destroyer's base, starting all the way at your side, getting a free move, and then another 2 move, and then just dropping your squadrons almost in the enemy deployment zone. I mean, really, you're only like an inch from the enemy deployment zone at this point. And this is, by the way, turn 1. And that's why I kind of went with the whole 371 points. Because, all right, nobody's gonna outbid you there. You can even add a Gazanti in here, and you'd have a little bit of extra points. You could put Vader on that Gazanti, so you could start using those officers for rerolls. There's other things you could do, and you might even still go first. But I was just I wanted to just show you this. Like, you have some flexibility here. You could drop some things as well if you really wanted to. You could drop the title. You don't really need. I think that the Eclipse title just makes it even more fun though, because once you get that far, then you're directly in their face. What else are you gonna do? Yeah. So if you add a Gazanti with Darth Vader on there, you're still at 395, which is going to get you first player sometimes. And if you're second player, well, that's not the end of the world. But the problem is, if you're second player, they're going to take their speed 0 ship, and they're going to activate it first and do a nav. But maybe they don't. I don't know. I mean, either way, there's still a whole lot of cool stuff you can do, dropping a gauntlet fighter right away. You can still mess with their plans, but I just thought the idea of being able to come in and blow up somebody's flagship and keep that flagship, or attack somebody's flagship, force it to stay at speed 0 for a couple of rounds, and just kill it before they can really do anything, sounds really fun. And so I thought I'd show you guys, the difference in just going straight at somebody and then zigzagging, and using the width of the Star Destroyer's base to kind of propel you farther than you could get if you just went straight. So hopefully the diagrams were helpful, and hopefully you guys liked the video. If you did like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank my patrons on Patreon. You guys are amazing. Definitely help make this all possible. And let's look forward to some more cool Armada news. Hopefully we will be seeing a live stream of Armada in a couple of weeks. So FFG, stay on the ball there. All right, I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.